My name is Roland McCormick. I served in the U.S. Army for 24 years. Expectations, initially I joined just because I wanted to get out of West Texas. Didn't want to work in the oil field. So as far as my expectations and how they changed immediately after I got into the Army, my first duty station was actually El Paso, Texas. So a little bit of disappointment initially. Probably my favorite story from boot camp actually had to do with not me, but another soldier that was in boot camp with me by the name of Bobby Kaib. I'll never forget his name. He was actually a Nigerian that joined U.S. Army, and one of the things you do in basic training when you're learning about deploying hand grenades is you do what's called a grenade in the bay drill, and the drill sergeant drops a dummy grenade and you're supposed to dive out of the bay to save yourself. Drill sergeant dropped the grenade, and Bobby Kaib, politely, because he was a very nice individual, picked it up and handed it back to him and said, "You dropped your grenade, drill sergeant." And that was a long day for Bobby Kaib after that. I wasn't super nervous about basic training itself, just from talking with family members and my brother. It was pretty much a be where you're supposed to be at the time you're told to be there, wearing the right thing. So it was a pretty simple philosophy for me. Follow directions, do what you're told, and made it pretty easy. Now I haven't gone home in a long time. I realized after my first deployment to Iraq, being from West Texas, it's off-putting for me to drive around West Texas because the terrain's quite similar to Iraq. So now I go home once a year, even now that I've been retired for 7 years. I go home once a year to visit family, but that's the limited amount of time I spend in West Texas. We all made compromises to try to get travel and visits in, and we did it as much as we possibly could, but there were certain times it just wasn't feasible. It's amazing, and it was eye-opening. My first deployment to Bosnia, it was very eye-opening for me as an American and the things I took for granted. One of my favorite stories from my career is actually my first deployment to Iraq. And as a humanitarian mission, we went to a small village, set up generators, and ran power to all the houses. And it wasn't anything special. It was simple extension cords and shop lights hanging from the ceiling. And we got done hanging it up, and I reached up and clicked the chain to turn the light on. And there was a little Iraqi boy, about 5 or 6 years old, was completely fascinated with the fact that a human could control electricity. It was a completely foreign idea to him, and he proceeded to play with the light, click it on and off time and time again. And I turned around and handed his father a pack of about 4 spare bulbs and told him that bulb is going to burn out. But that's what we take for granted in our country, the things that we don't see that other countries just don't have. And that's what makes me proud of our country, how far we come and how everybody has access to things that are basic and simple that are completely overlooked on a daily basis.